For a transcript of this episode, training plans, and more, visit marathonsfortherestofus.com. Hey, Coach Carl here with another Marathons for the Rest of Us video. This week, I'm going to be looking at the question, if you have to drive after your long run, what exercises should you do first? And this question made me laugh a little bit because it's super specific, but I think it's also a situation that a lot of people find themselves in, so I wanted to make sure to cover it. So first, let's make sure we're all on the same page here. If you need to drive home after your long run and the drive is longer than, say, about 5 minutes or so, you absolutely should be doing some exercises before you get in the car. I would argue that you should be doing exercises after your long run, or really after any run anyway, but it's going to be even more important if right after the long run you're getting in the car and you're sitting for a long period of time. So if we can all agree that you should be doing exercises after your run, and we need to look at what exercises to do, and to answer that question we really need to ask, what goals do we want to accomplish with these exercises? What do we want these exercises to actually do for us? And for me, the answer to that question is either going to be that we want to stretch out the muscles that we used on the run that may have become shortened through the repetitive motion of running, or we want to increase the mobility at the joints to make sure that we're recovering properly from the hard effort. Now, I'm going to give some examples of different exercises that would help accomplish these goals, but don't feel like these are the end-all, be-all exercises for this. There are a ton of different exercises that will help you accomplish these goals after your long run. So if you have exercises that you're familiar with and that you're comfortable with and you feel like would achieve these things, then absolutely add those after your long run. But if you're looking for examples of things that you can add, these I think are some really good ones that I use a lot and that I have found effective. The first is leg swings, and this is a really popular exercise. You see people do this a lot. I like to recommend 3 different variations on this. The first is where you're doing leg swing in front and behind you with a straight leg. The second is doing in front and behind you with a bent knee. And the third is doing across your body with a straight leg. You want to aim to keep your hips square as you're doing these, so you make sure you're targeting the right muscles. And you want to do about 8 to 10 reps on each side. And if you're doing these correctly, it's going to work on the adductors, the abductors, the hip flexors, the hamstrings, and the quad muscles. So it's going to target a lot of muscles that more than likely got tight during your run. So that's really going to help us loosen those muscles up after that repetitive motion of running in a relatively quick, easy, and short period of time. Now, the second example would be high knees and butt kicks. I group these together because in most people's mind, they go hand in hand anyway. And this is something where you're going to be working on the range of motion a little bit in the hips and in the knees, and depending on your form with the butt kicks, you may be helping to stretch out the quad muscles as well. This is a great exercise because it's relatively simple. Most people have done it before, and it's not a particularly difficult exercise to add into your routine. I think you want to do about 2 sets of 20 to 30 meters of each, and once you get really proficient with that exercise, that's really not going to take much time at all either. And then a third example exercise would be the side slide. You can think of this as doing jumping jacks, but where you're moving from side to side as you're doing it. So you're moving from point A to point B while you're doing the jumping jack motion. And this is a great exercise because it gets your body moving in a different plane of motion than what you were doing for that long run. If you ran for 90 minutes or 2 hours or 4 hours straight ahead, that's a lot of time spent going forward and backward. And so even adding in just a little bit of side to side movement at the end is a great way to loosen things up before you go and sit in the car. Now, if you're doing this exercise or a similar exercise where you're moving laterally, you're moving from side to side, don't feel like it needs to be really aggressive and really dynamic in terms of the amount of energy that you're putting into it, right? You don't need to be going super high on your jumps. You don't need to be, sprinting from side to side or anything like that. This is an exercise where the big thing is just getting those hips moving in a different direction than what they were doing over the course of the long run. And I would recommend 2 sets of 20 to 30 meters down and back for this one as well. So you can set it up as a little bit of a circuit. You can do high knees, butt kick, side slide, high knees, butt kick, side slide, however you want to structure it. I don't think that the order of operations is very important with these exercises. I think it's just getting a variety of different movements in, loosening up the joints, loosening up the muscles before you sit is really important to help with the blood flow, the recovery process, and to keep from tightening up on the drive home. So again, there are plenty of exercises that would achieve these goals and would be perfectly viable options. These are just 3 that I like to use personally and I have found effective, but anything that achieves those goals of stretching out the muscles that have shortened during the run, or improves the range of motion in the joints, particularly things like the hips and the knees, I think are going to be really effective for your post long run exercises. So I hope those ideas and those thoughts are helpful for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at carl@runningcoachcarl.com. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.